Usually, a lot of sometimes
I guess we're recording.
they'll do the U and a little umlaut.
Yeah.
TBLO.
It's soccer here.
All right, guys, good morning. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is basically efficiency on a job. Anytime I do a job, and pretty much my MO is, what could I have done differently? What could I do better, especially on these bigger jobs? And so, and that's you look at any great athlete, for that loses a big game, they always kind of look back to what could I have done differently so they don't repeat that same mistake next time. And what it does is it increases their ability, increases their efficiency, and increases their value as a person in the trades and whatever field you're in, actually. So I always like to kind of brainstorm, and this is not a bitch session, this is a brainstorm session. Like, what could we do differently? What could we do better? So that's kind of what I wanted to approach this morning. You guys have all been on the repipe for the most part, except for Renar's. But there's some stuff that I learned. So one of the most important thing was Iggy's little tool. That was badass. And then Iggy taught us another trick for taking a powder shower valve. So kudos to Iggy on that. But the Makita is badass. I actually asked my wife to order me one already. So we're gonna. So what I'm doing is I'm getting. I want to get my rig set up. Lead by example, right? I want to get my rig set up, and that so I can cut holes properly. And one of the things, we'll talk a little bit about that, cutting holes, but one of the things I like about that setup is, number one, it's fast, right? And time is money. Because the price that I gave for that job didn't change because it took longer. Okay? So I'm kind of married. You're married to the price most of the time, right? We're not getting paid by the hour. So it behooves us to become very, very efficient with our time. And that's why it always kind of was a big impressed upon me, like, hey, don't go downstairs to your truck without taking something with you that you don't need anymore. And it's usually trash or something like that. And always don't create extra work for yourself. Like, it's nice that we have that Makita because it's badass, it's fast, but it's only half the tool because the other half is attaching a vacuum to it, right? But we got to have the right vacuum too. And actually the right hose. So, like the Stinger, the hose on there, I'm going to have to buy something different because I like those rubber hoses, and we don't need a big fat one. We need kind of a skinny one just so it's more flexible and that we have a greater length, so it could be sitting on the floor and you could be on top of a ladder, so it's got to be like 10 feet long, right? So there's some criteria here. It could be in two pieces, 2 5s or whatever, right? But these are the kinds of things I like to discuss, so that when we move forward, that we become really, really efficient and better at what we do. So one of the things I wanted to mention as well is, and then I'm just going to let you guys start to talk about some suggestions that you have. So one of the things I saw on Facebook was this really, really cool stud finder. And it's an app, I think, or something, a tool that you put on your phone, and you just kind of wave it in front of the wall, and it shows you what's in there, electrical, shows you all kinds of shit, rebar. It was pretty cool. And it wasn't that expensive either. I'm sure you guys have probably, huh?
It's like $60, I think.
Yeah, 60
There's a new
bucks,
one,
I think.
there's an upgraded version of it.
Yeah.
It costs a little more.
But those things are really, really important. Here's why. When we're about to make, there's nothing worse than making a hole. Like we did this in one room. We made a hole and found out we really couldn't get through. Like there was so much shit in the way. Like it was unbelievable. But we couldn't see that until we actually did it. And we probably spent, 4 or 5 hours trying to make holes and drilling through shit and everything else. And we had no idea what we were up against. And we finally quit. We just gave up and we just said, well, let's do it differently.
Dodge the room.
Right?
Yeah.
So what happened is not only did we lose 4 or 5 hours of labor, but we also, and time, which is money, But we also created more expense for the homeowner and more mess for ourselves to clean up, actually, as well. So all of that could have been avoided had we had some better tools and being a little bit more prepared. And it was difficult to begin with. Both options were bad options. You know, they were not easy options for us. But you know, we could have avoided a lot of holes had we had some better tools, and we could have been much as twice as fast having the right vacuum. So those were the tools that I'd like to see everybody acquire in this company. And then I'm going to see about the hoses and the vacuums. We provide those, but your hand tools, that's up to you. My suggestion is, you know, I've seen, you know, I kind of went online, and Makita's probably the most popular out of all the drywall tools. And if you haven't seen it yet, the reason it's good is because it's all parts of that blade cut. Both sides cut, the top's cut, you know, because it's kind of pointed like this, and so it has teeth all around it. So anyway, that being said, plus it has the vacuum attachment to it, and then the stud finders. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention why that's also important for stud finders is a lot of times when we cut holes, you know, there's some resistance on the customers. You know, when there's a repipe, they understand there's going to be a lot of holes, right? But let's just say we're putting in a laundry valve, and you know, you got to let the customer know, hey, this isn't the kind that I could just change out those valves. I have to cut a hole in your drywall, and there's some resistance there because now they got to patch the drywall, right? So, but if you're good at what you do and you know where the studs are and everything else, you can cut that in such a way that you could put that piece back yourself with a little 1x1, you know, which if you cut that just perfectly against the stud to stud, you know, then you can easily put that piece back, and now the only things left is really texturing, right? And you know, so that kind of softens the blow a little bit for folks, and they know that, oh, I just got to have a drywaller come. And we have plenty of drywallers we can recommend for the texturing and stuff like that. So it kind of reduces the price, which reminds me, we did a repipe on the lake here, and there's this one guy, Zach, that used to work for me. He was really meticulous guy, like super meticulous, more meticulous than myself, much more. And he went and he repiped this house, and every single piece of drywall that he cut out, he put back. Like, it was shocking when I went into this house. This is a nice house on the lake here in Lake Forest. Really nice house. And clients of mine for 20-some years. We've done all kinds of slab leaks and everything. They finally tapped out and said, hey, you know, let's do this. And so Zach sold that, and he did the job, and just it was amazing how meticulous he was, you know, in putting everything back together. So, and it, you know, you can sell that as part of the job on reroutes and things like that, as well as, hey, you know, and take pictures of your work before and afters. Like, here's what we did, and here's what it looks like now, and this saved you this much money because now you just got a texture, right? So, because a majority of the price putting drywall back together is the drywall, you know, right? It's well, I got to cut a piece of drywall to fit that hole, right? Well, what's going to fit better than the piece that was in there, right? But that was not, if we had, it was possible, let's just put it this way, it was possible to do that on this job. We didn't, but we can, and we should strive toward that goal, is my opinion. So, anyway, I'm going to let you guys come up with some ideas. What can you see that cost us time and money on this job? Just like from your experience that you've seen in the past. Or a tool that would work a little bit better than what we've been using.
I think for me, the biggest one is, since we have other work, obviously, it's hard to have people dedicated to stay there.
Right.
We should just have, hey, Iggy, you, and anybody else, just, you know, no matter what, you're staying here, if that's okay with you, and that way, it's a steady movement, but at least it's not just, you know, one day everybody's there, one day nobody's there, one day you showed up just to look at something, and that, you know, I think that would have helped.
Yeah.
You know, that's my opinion.
Right, and it was a real struggle for us too, because people were sick, It was the holiday. We got buried with calls. Sarah was buried and she was selling like crazy. And that pulled you out of this picture, and then Jesse was sick, and then, you know, it just went on and on and on. You know, Jesse wasn't the only guy that got sick either. You know, Jesse was just the most sick. I got sick, you know.
I definitely got sick.
And yeah, so it just went through this entire company. I know Memo got sick. You know, so, you know, it was going on. So, yeah, I understand that, and that's one of the things that, you know, on this job, the frustrating part about it, the good news was it was vacant, right? So that makes a whole different animal, right? And, you know, it could have been a much bigger bitch had we had tenants, right? That would have been awful, right? So we were very, very fortunate in that regard. However, you know, the landlord, he's at 7-8 grand a month for each flat, right? And so that's 14, 15, 16 grand, right? A month that he's losing, right? So he already lost 14 grand, right? And he's about to lose 14 more minimum because I don't know if he's gonna lease that place out by February. Looking at the condition that it's in right now, right? So his expectation was, I'm gonna lose a month. Now he got basically a $14,000 bill the other day. Because, you know, it's not on us, but fortunately, but the property manager is saying, hey, this is not gonna happen. You know, because we got too much to do here now, and I can't show this. I could have it ready by February 1st, but I can't show it till February 1st. You know, so it's gonna, you know, and there's some, you know, steps that need to be taken here. So anyway, I think he's kind of succumbed to that, you know, loss of 14 grand, 15 grand, whatever he's lost at this point. But, you know, cry me a river, those guys make over $1 million a year. So.
Almost $1 million just off the freaking rental.
No, not even include, I'm talking W-2 wages for those guys. Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah.
make $15,000 every month just off of the rental of that thing.
Well, they had to buy it. You know, they got a
Yeah.
mortgage payment on it. Good.
And then
But
they
that's
got
still pretty high rental.
then they got that building down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So they got,
Flat down.
they're not
He's not
poor.
gonna- yeah.
But the point is, I don't care how much money you have, $14,000 is money, right? It's something they could have spent something else on, right? So you always want to be conscientious of the other people's money, right? I mean, because that's what people hire us for, is to be conscientious about their stuff. And that's why
That manager.
they want us to tell them the truth, lovingly, about what's going on in their property. Because when they bought that property, they didn't know what they bought. They had no clue that this was a 1960s property because it didn't look like it from the outside or the inside, right? But 1960s was behind the drywall, for sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Copper drain lines.
yeah, and they have redone most of the drywall. That's not original drywall. That's all been redone. But nobody changed the shit underneath, you know?
No one looked underneath when they redid the drywall, just take pictures of stuff that's leaking.
Yeah, I know. It's
Shit.
just ridiculous, right? But that's what they bought, and what we call in the trade and the industry is lipstick on a pig. It was a flip. And the guy who flipped that property, you know, he was a GC. No, he wasn't. He was a mortgage broker, okay? Yeah, he was a mortgage guy. And he talked a bunch of millionaires into investing with him on flipping homes. So he was not a contractor, and it was all about make it look pretty and sell it, you know, and that's all they did. And he lost a lot of people's money. But then these guys turned around and bought this house, long story, and they didn't know what they were buying. And anyway, so they got hosed on that one.
They
So.
got sucked in by that view.
Yeah, and you know, they're looking at the view, they're looking at the rents, yeah, let's buy it. You know, it's an investment property, and they had no idea what they had to put into it, which is why, you know, next time hire some contractors who are specialists at what they do, like a plumber, you know, like any of you in this room could have looked at the house and went, wait a minute, what's going on behind the walls and shit. Let's make a hole or two, see what's in here. You know, just looking in the garage is when I knew that house needed to be repiped. When we got, that's what started this, was a pinhole leak. So Anyway, but good point, thank you for that. I agree, and that is my focus, that's why you're back there today. Because I know for a fact, it takes you a while to get to a job and then kind of evaluate, okay, here's where we're at. See, now you already know, from yesterday, you already know what needs to be done today. But it took you hours to figure out yesterday what the hell's going on, you know? And so because you hadn't been there for a while. And that's where consistency is huge, 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 huge. That's why, you know, we've got the crew that we've got now, we've been hiring, you know. And that's another thing too, this was a great opportunity because a lot of people learned, you know. So there's 4 apprentices in this room, or well, one of them's missing, but Cameron's missing, but you know, B, I know Memo and William learned a hell of a lot, you know. I taught Memo and William and Cameron how to solder on that job. Maybe Memo was on a different job, but he learned how to solder within the last few weeks. We certainly know how to cut holes now. We know which is a better tool, right? We know how to run PEX, we know how to use a PEX gun. You know, so you guys have learned in a very, very short period, brief period of time, a lot, which is really, really critical because, you know, we're gonna probably be doing more and more of these jobs eventually, and especially with Sarah, you know, she walks into any old kind of job and sells repipes all the time, you know, but she's been kind of reluctant to do that because she doesn't have the staff for it. So, and then the other side of this too is that the HVAC guys did a lot of work there, you know, so I know Ryan and Mike and Jesse now know, you know, pretty squarely what to do and how to do it, you know, so that's pretty cool when we got that many people that would walk into a job like that now, and you kind of have that confidence that, hey, yeah, we can knock this out in a couple days, you know, because that's what most repipes should take, is about 2 days, but with, you know, with the staff that we have now, we can afford to do that. And so, you know, part of it is communication with dispatch, talking about what you were talking about, is clearing the schedule, making sure we don't put on like tune-ups and water heater flushes and stuff like that when, you know, we got this job where we need to stay focused and keep the same people there every day. So what else? Yep.
Take the time to like actually prep, like put the plastic down or the rosin paper, like everything should have been covered like on day one.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's the first thing you should do.
Yeah, I agree. The prep work, that's okay, man. It's not going to.
I don't think I'm gonna fix it.
Since we have so many people, we could have assigned like one person
So.
per room or whatever.
So prep work and design are huge. So, and honestly, you know, when I get to a job, I like to bring everything to where I'm working, set up my workplace, get all the tools that I need. I don't, you know, in my mind, I never want to have to go back to the truck for anything. Even if I have an apprentice, I don't want to send the apprentice back for anything. I want to be able to fulfill the mission, because to me, if you could do that mentally, and that takes some mental preparation, it takes some mental thought. You know, you got to slow down, and you got to think about, what am I going to do and what am I going to need? Oh yeah, I need this because I'm going to make a hole. I need a mat because I want to protect the floor. I need, you know, couplings, I need solder, I need, you know, and you put it all together in your head. And then, you know, you'll be surprised that amount of time that you spend is much smaller than the amount of time you would spend running back and forth. And, you know, because it disrupts, you know, and anybody who's mechanical knows that if you get into a flow, it's like all of a sudden, bing, 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 bing. But to be in a flow, you have to have everything around you, you know, that you need. Otherwise, you run out to go get a vacuum or change a filter or do something stupid like that, you know, it disrupts that flow, and then you have to get back and where was I, and then you have to re-coordinate, and you lose all this time. Most people don't even really realize how much time they're losing. So yeah,
Having
I
a
think
toilet in the middle of something like this, that should have been done like day one. Like
Yeah.
all little fixtures,
Yeah.
You could have been quick.
Yeah, you're right, it could have been, we should have been a lot more thoughtful in that, I agree.
And it's easier when there's like no tools yet and stuff like
Mhm.
that. and
Yeah.
material.
On the same point that B's on with the surface preps, I mean, the paper that you got was good, but you really wanna look into a product called Ramboard. It's thick paper or cardboard, and it does not have to be replaced every,
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, in other words,
Just talking about that.
You would have laid
It's
it
like
down
super
once,
thick
and
cardboard.
you would have been done.
yeah,
It's a hard press, it's actually closer to like a press board, because cardboard has that little corrugated cell in the middle.
It's pricey, but it lasts you forever.
A lot of times you can actually reuse it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
it's called Ramboard.
Yeah,
Yep.
Ramboard, they
There's other
sell it at
imitations, but
Home
that's the
Depot.
best one.
It's literally next to, you buy that paper.
Mhm. And I'll tell you what, Ryan's been on projects that we worked with JDF where we dropped a furnace like edge down,
Mm-hmm,
didn't do anything
Yeah,
to
it's
anything
crazy.
underneath it.
okay.
It doesn't even notice it.
Yeah, I wanna, especially on stairs, I'm not happy with what we're doing now, just because, number one, it's a trip hazard,
It's a super
especially on wood, and, cause it just, whoop, you just go sliding down the stairs and
Yeah.
destroy things and yourself, all that and everything that comes with it, so we do need to step up our game on protecting surfaces.
The next one for that would be, you should get some zip walls. That
Zip walls?
The telescoping poles that
Mhm.
I have. It's plasticking off where an attic access is, a breeze. You just take those sheets of plastic, pop them up in a 4x4 square around it, and all of a sudden, everything in their closet's protected. You can go up and down that closet access with abandon because
Yeah.
nothing's gonna touch any of their clothes or valuables.
And to your point, that's a really, really good idea. Here's why. When we're in the field and we're selling air conditioners and furnaces, right? And you assess the situation. This is the soft emotional stuff that gets the homeowner to say yes to you. Which, and I can guarantee you other contractors won't do this. But if we were to set up a zip wall in a closet, showing a before and after, this is your closet, boom. And this is, a nice neat closet, especially for those neat freaks. Because when you go into somebody's house and they're a neat freak, right? That's a clue right there about who you're dealing with and how to sell to that person, how to talk to that person, right? So if you show them a picture, this is how we're gonna protect your property, like they're all like, they're all ears now, they're listening to you, because you've done something that not everybody does, and very few people do. So yeah, we don't have to move all your clothing, because everything's in its place. You've seen those closets, right? A lot of times you go into closets and all the shit's on the floor, and you're like, how do I even put my ladder down? It's like, how do you even walk in here? But some of these people are like detail neat freaks, right? And they're watching you too, because they're OCD, and it's part of who they are. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just, hopefully, I love OCD people, especially when I'm flying in a plane. I'm glad they're detail freaks out there, right? You want that security, right? So those people exist, and they happen to be our best customers, by the way. Those OCD people. And Neil and Danny are one. There's no way we would be doing the job the way we're doing it had they been there in that house or present while we were doing it. I would have completely did it differently and probably priced it differently as well, because they're such detail freaks. But yeah, I think zip walls are a really, really good idea,
We did it at
especially for that
Millennium Dental.
application. Yeah.
We did that at Millennium Dental, and the house manager was just floored that it was floor to ceiling, so no clothes had to be moved, nothing had to be vacuumed after. It was just roll up the tarps and we're gone.
Right, and those are the things too that house manager, her job's on the line, right? It's not her house, but it's her job. Like holy shit, Like, so that person is, and she was the influencer, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
on that job.
She was the salesman. She was one
She's
that
the
sold
person I
them.
had to sell that,
Yeah.
that equipment to.
Yeah.
Both times that I sold ductwork and I sold the furnace to. Yeah, everything, yeah, it goes through her. That's her job, is to hire and fire people.
Mhm.
And she made that pretty, self-evident to me.
Yeah.
So, and she didn't tell me that, but boy, I got that impression right away from her.
Oh.
Because of the questions she was asking me, because I could tell, she was gonna have to present what I presented to her. And so I had to build a rapport with her from a position of, hey, Kevin, if you screw up, it's my job. That's what I'm thinking. I know, because that's what she's thinking, right? And so that's the way I related to her. So kudos to you guys for doing that, for setting it up. Because I can tell you, she will call us for everything else.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we
Period.
won her over.
Yeah. I don't care what happens in that house, it's gonna be a phone call here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a result of that one thing, yeah. Anything else?
After what happened with the countertop, it's good to have someone go out and maybe take pictures of stuff that's
Right.
damaged already,
I agree.
because that was terrible. That was crazy.
We did that on a limited basis. The first thing I did when I walked into the house, I saw the chandelier was busted, took a
Yeah.
picture, sent it to Denise.
Right.
She's like, what happened? I go, I don't know, I wasn't here, but I have a suspicion of what happened, and the homeowner, the tenant, owned it, but I was out in front of it, so I agree. It'd probably be a good idea to walk through and take pictures,
Yeah.
especially when we're gonna blow up a house like that, let me, that one I probably won't remember.
Talking about like damages, I don't know if you've seen the mirror that was in the restroom, it is cracked. So I don't know if you wanna,
Oh, that happened when the guy took it off.
yeah.
Well,
It's gonna
that's a
take a
cover
picture.
our ass thing.
Yeah.
Might still take a picture of it.
There's a giant crack where the light was. The
see
light
it's
came
already
through, we
cracked
popped it off,
somewhere.
everything cracked way down.
Well, he wasn't planning on reusing that mirror.
They're not gonna use it anyway.
That's what I
They're
figured.
gonna put it in.
Yeah, nobody was. We called mirror companies. I said, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's glued to that wall. You plan for the worst.
Honestly, the guy did pretty good for something that was glued to the wall.
We'll keep you.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing we talked about here, and Ellen and I and Tina, and we just thought, just the liability of taking that thing down. We knew it was gonna break, and I just thought, man, just have them do it. It wasn't part of my bid, and throw it back at them. And then if they wanted me to do it, I was ready, prepared to hire a mirror people. We had actually somebody who agreed to do it for a price and was heading out the door, and we had to call him back and cancel because she wanted her handyman to do it. Anyway,
Oh, that guy walking around.
yeah, I agree. Pictures before are kind of critical because there's because we kind of got into a situation where the mirror guy, when she asked what happened to the counter, the mirror guy kind of went looking around like,
Yeah.
these guys. He didn't say it. That's what he was meaning. And I'm like, whoa, back up.
Yeah, we did see it.
How could we get this many scratches? This is like 1,000 scratches.
Yeah.
Like we would have had been dancing up there for a week, with high heels, So to get those kind of
And
scratches, it
blades or
was
something.
obvious something was on the counter for years, scratching that thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, but and the tenant said, oh yeah, I'm just gonna have my person buff that out. They didn't argue about it, so we knew it was there
It's probably
before.
like a heavy soap dispenser, something that they bring.
Yeah, something they dragged
like
every now and then, every day or what have you. But yeah, just, so.
Well, and even that relationship with that tenant, I know I had given her a couple of my business cards the last time I was through there, because they just got a new house built.
Yeah.
Not that far away.
Yeah, not that far away, yeah.
And I made sure to tell her it's plumbing, heating and air, anything, just
Yeah.
give us a call.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I have a feeling that sale was because of the relationship you have with Danny and them.
Mhm.
We've worked on their personal home, and put in the air conditioner that they won't shut up about.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing with our customers is that relationship, so.
Also, there's another, what I call the person in the closet, the plumber or the HVAC person in the closet, that would be Denise in this application.
Yes.
Because Denise also directs the flow of traffic. And Denise likes me.
Oh, yeah, she loves you. She told me how much she loved you.
Yeah, and so, I'm telling you, man, it's, because she's all about price, except when it comes to me. She's like, yeah,
Jesse and I experienced
that's
that
awesome.
with that
She, when
pinhole.
she heard the price for the repipe, she goes, she told Danny, that's a really good price. Right? So, I'm just saying, in this day and age where repipes are selling for $5,000 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's $5,000 for like my apartment.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, there are guys out there doing houses for $5,000.
Yeah, and where are they when that springs a leak?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Their phone suddenly doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. And so, anyway, but yeah, those relationships are really, really important to have somebody in your corner like that, because we've got all this drain work that is there. And they've had other people working on that drain. Obviously, they've had other people in this house, right?
Oh, yeah.
All that drain work, everything that's been done thus far was not done by us. So, and we will get all the HVAC work. We have a $3,000 bid on that. We probably got somewhere close to at least $8,000 in drain work that we're gonna find out about today.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The trees are all-
yeah, and she's already emailed, hey, she emailed me last night, she goes, hey, I told Danny that this needs to get done, it needs to get done right away, I saw it, and we're good to go. That's what she told Danny. So I'm like, she hasn't even, we haven't even discussed price yet, and I don't really discuss price with her, I go direct to Danny. But what she did was, hey, I smoothed it out for you. This is basically what she said in her email. I prepped this for you, so you're good to go on the drain work. Let's get it done. That's
It
what
was
she
a second
said.
opinion
So,
confirmation.
yeah, that's what these types of relationships do. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the more walls we open there, the more
The more we
interesting things that we find.
Yeah. Honestly, if we were electricians, she would be having us do that.
You know,
She would have us
looking
do
at the
the panel.
electrical there, that was definitely 60s era electric.
Oh yeah, they got a
It's-
push button panel in the hallway.
There's that, but in the
That's
40s,
crazy.
50s, and 60s, they ran everything in hard conduit. They didn't have Romex.
Mm-hmm.
So the large majority of all the wiring in that house is pulled in conduit. So
Yeah.
It is. It's all
the,
armored.
the reality is
Thought
the
they were gas
rewire is actually quite a bit easier
Oh yeah. Yeah.
than it would be if it was stapled Romex.
Right.
Only because I have all of my channels available to me to
Right.
pull wires as I like.
Right. Well, they got some hokey shit going on too, because I saw some stuff taped up and wire nutted behind a drywall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I was like-
and then there's the other side where Handyman Harry's been in there.
Yeah.
And there's
Adding
thermostat
things.
wire sticking out the side of the house, which, by the way, has
Yeah.
just a hole in it.
Those ceilings used to be the plaster ceilings that you saw. Those used to be strip heat in there. They had the strip heat.
Oh, they had electric strip heat?
Yeah, somebody was asking me, I forgot who it was William or somebody was asking me, what are these wires in the drywall for? It's like, that used to be their heater. So that's how they heated that building.
Those
Yeah.
yellow ones in the back
And
of the
then
house?
Huh?
Those yellow ones in the back of the house?
Yeah, I'm going through the plaster.
I saw those.
Anything else? We gotta get going.
No.
We're good. All right, so we're going back there today, and all day until we're complete. I'm gonna be gone for half the day this morning. I'll probably be taking William with me, I think. So Sarah's, I think, on her own, so everybody else is going there.
They
You
me
got the
on-
call back,
On County 9.
right?
And then there
Ryan, what needs to be done over at Bats, Laura Bats?
Laura Bats.
She says she's missing a filter or something like
There's
that.
Wrong size
I,
or something?
I don't, William did both of those things.
Okay.
He told me he put an extra filter behind the furnace. and replace the filter that she's got. And she said that apparently some piece of the furnace is sitting on top of the furnace.
Okay.
I checked heating and cooling before I left, it was.
So I'm gonna-
like heating and cooling.
I'm
I might
gonna
have left
have,
like a tool on top, and she figures it's part of the system.
I'm gonna have Renars go back there.
Yeah.
Just cause, you got the gas line to go fix in Laguna Beach, and then you can head over the repipe from there.
Yeah, go for it. Whatever she's asking about, William told me that it was done, and I was like, dude, you should go back there and check it.
Well,
But it